All right, this whole conspiracy theory around what's going on with Angelina Jordan and her video being taken down from the YouTube channel for America's Got Talent. You need to calm down. You're being too loud. My point being that let's calm down a bit and let's get to the heart of the matter. What's up, y'all? It's John Master Lee here. I think it's about time that I start jumping into this fray, and I'm calling it a conspiracy theory because there is so much misinformation out there about what's going on with her on America's Got Talent. All right, for those of you who are just catching up to this whole drama, and now we've come to one of our favorites, Angelina
Jordan!
This child scene sensation who had won Norway's Got Talent before recently performed on America's Got Talent Championship Edition, and it was a mind-blowing performance, probably one of the best performances that I have ever seen on the show. In fact, she even got the golden buzzer. Her performance never got posted up to the YouTube page for America's Got Talent, which is very unusual because every other performance to date on America's Got Talent Championship has gone online. So there's a lot of Angelina Jordan fans out there, and it quickly became one of those things that became hot chatter on the internet. The drama got taken up a notch because another website, Talent Recap, did post up that performance from Angelina Jordan, got about 10 million views, and then boom, that one also disappeared. And it doesn't help that there's a whole bunch of YouTubers out there who have jumped into this fray, offering their own opinion, adding fuel to the fire, and honestly just making things a lot worse. I can tell you right now, internet sleuthing is probably one of the most dangerous things that goes on today. People string together loose bits of information to justify a particular standpoint or bias they have about what they want to see or what they want to hear, just to further a belief that they have. Or even worse, they don't really care one way or the other, and they're only doing it because of the views. We've seen that happen a lot. And in fact, you could probably explain our whole political system here in America today, which is fueled by a lot of misinformation and those who realize they can capitalize off of this frenzy and just making videos about it to make a few extra dollars. When people start to believe things despite what information is out there, just to further their belief, well, you end up with things like people who believe that the earth is flat or that vaccines are bad for you. Now granted, we're just talking about a performance on America's Got Talent, but this is the kind of thing that can snowball, and it's best just to avoid it getting to that point when at this point we can still think logically about it. Now, first off, I do want to say that yes, I do realize there are a lot of things that go on with America's Got Talent, a lot of these reality TV shows that is misleading. And in fact, it's all done for the ratings. We know that. In fact, I'm thinking about making a video that goes into like the top 10 things that I know that the show does to, it's a little bit tricksy. Whether it's through clever editing, whether it's through coaching of what people should say, whether it's through song choice, we know this happens. But for this particular scenario, I just want to break down the information here, and you could decide in the end if you still think there's some big conspiracy going on, okay? The first myth I want to dispel is that a lot of people think that Talent Recap, a YouTube channel that is out there that posted up that video of Angelina Jordan performing that got 10 million views and got taken down, is somehow part of the America's Got Talent network. It's not. It is a whole separate site that is not run by America's Got Talent, just something that is run by fans. Now, I realize why people are confused here, because if you take a look at their YouTube channel, their logo, a lot of the language they use, everything that they post up is around that show. I think what makes it even more confusing is that one of the reporters, Jacqueline Schultz
here on the red carpet of AGT Champions,
aka Jacqueline Mandel, that's right, she's the daughter of Howie Mandel, reports for that site. So there's some, I wouldn't say it's nepotism there because it's separate. Talent Recap does get invited to a lot of press events and get some backstage access to talk with a lot of these performers and the judges. And it's not like they're trying to hide that fact. In fact, Jacqueline has interviewed her father on the show before and has just simply called him dad. It sounds like it's an official site. So how do I know it's not an official site? Because they said so. What they do in essence is they go watch the TV show, they record the TV show, and then they repost parts of it. That's why if you take a look at their videos, the quality is oftentimes lower, sometimes posted in 720p versus 1080p HD. The audio quality isn't as good, and they have to chop up the performance. It's never the whole show. Even when they do that though, most of those performances are copyright claimed by Fremantle, which is the company that owns America's Got Talent. So that's clear, I hope, right? All right. The other myth I've heard is that Angelina Jordan was offered a contract by Simon, had turned it down, and because of that, Simon is spiteful and thus decided to not post up her video. All right, so let's clear up a couple things here, right? Yes, Simon is actually one of the creators, is not one of the main people that fuels shows like America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent. It's a whole network of these shows that have been, I guess you could say, franchised out. I'm not exactly sure what the term is specifically or how it's done contractually, but all these shows ultimately roll back into what he has created, an empire around talent competitions, which in part is also a gateway to another part of his business, which is signing up these talents under his label. And so a lot of people who end up going on to the finals on America's Got Talent end up getting contracts through Simon's company. And that's where he's made a lot of his money as well. To dispel this myth, I think it's important to realize that no one's really actually clear what Simon's involvement is on a day-to-day basis for all these shows. I can guarantee you one thing. There are about a dozen plus of these shows worldwide. There is no way he can be involved and see everything that goes through. And he has so many successful artists under his label that it really doesn't matter if one or two of them say that they don't want to work with him. Now, the contract that we're talking about here is whether or not Angelina Jordan wants to do a recording contract with Simon, not the contract that she had going on America's Got Talent. I mean, if you think about this, right? If Simon is willing to break the contract that he has with her on America's Got Talent because she wouldn't sign another contract with him for his music label, that sounds the kind of business activity that is highly unethical and the kind of thing that, quite frankly, would sink a show like that and sink a company like his. I'm sure they strongly encourage artists to work with them, but in the past, there have been artists who have not gone that route and have gone on to great success without ever signing. Now, I do think there are other contractual issues here, which I'll get to in a minute, but I don't think it's because of that specific reason why the video never went up online, which is a spiteful action that Simon took as if he had that kind of sway to not post something up online. All right, the other myth out here is that the video isn't online because Queen has the rights to the song and they block that. They want to own the rights to it and they don't like the song and whatnot. First off, Queen actually has responded via Twitter to that performance going, wow, amazing. So we know that they actually liked the performance. And then second, Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a song she performed, has been done to death on many. So I don't see this suddenly being a precedent where Queen goes, well, for her, no, everyone else, yes. So this likely isn't an issue either. It's not Queen. All right, so what is likely the situation here, right? So let me break this down to you because I've seen this happen now as someone who's worked in the entertainment industry for many years. When you start to see any video on YouTube taken down, being blocked, having copyright strikes, it's almost always because of rights available for purchase on iTunes, and it can be streamed on Spotify. What we know is that this is a rights issue specifically to online. And because it's so specific, chances are it's highly likely that Angelina's team, which likely is her family making these kind of decisions, was involved, was knowledgeable about this type of arrangement. And yes, I agree, there hasn't been many scenarios in the past where something like this has happened. So it's one of those things that have to be carved out from a standard contract on America's Got Talent. What I really ultimately think is happening here at the end of the day, it's a rights issue. And a rights issue can partly be about money. I read comments where people say it's all about the ad dollars. People want to be able to post it up on their YouTube channel to make ad dollars. And I can tell you that ad dollars to this is pretty incremental. It's not the big picture. The bigger picture is owning the rights to the song, the performance, so that you have all these options and choices of what to do with it many years out, a lifetime out, if you will. I don't think it's purely a money issue. And let me frame it this way. Now, if you remember the beginning of this video, I did a little ditty from a Taylor Swift song, You Need to Calm Down. That's actually a pretty good example of what rights issues are about here. Now, for those of you who haven't been following along with Taylor Swift, she's been caught up on all of 2019 in one of the most dramatic cases of song rights. Basically, she had signed over the rights to all of her songs pretty much up to that point. Years and years of hits are owned by somebody else. And that somebody else decided to sell it to somebody else that, quite frankly, she did not like and had a huge problem with because of, well, past misgivings and honestly, some very questionable and unethical practices, I think, that she did not feel comfortable with and being involved with. But because she didn't have the rights to them, because she couldn't control it, she was basically stuck. All her work Everything that she felt like was an embodiment of what she was now was owned by somebody else that could do whatever they want with that music. It's a sort of thing where if you ever watch television and you're watching a commercial and a song comes up, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that song, and it's an awesome song that you remember growing up. Well, we've oftentimes heard of scenarios where music artists will say, I never want to see my song being used in a cheesy commercial, and yet years later, it still happens. That's a rights issue. Rights issues are about protecting the artist. It's about giving the artist control of their creations, things that are very personal to them, their music, their livelihood, so that they can make the choices, right? Either to monetize it or not monetize it. Now, the thing is, we don't actually know what kind of contract she went into that she worked out with America's Got Talent, but we do know this. Angelina's family has shown to be very protective of her and her career. Her mom is always with her, by her side, really nice gal, but also someone you could tell is looking after her daughter. Chances are, whatever was arranged was something that Angelina and her camp and her family was very privy to, knew what they were doing, and that's why the performance was not put online. We don't really know the reason why she did that carve out specifically. Perhaps she will talk about it someday in the future, or perhaps we will see patterns of this from her in the future, because if she's done this once, chances are she would do it again for other type of scenarios, or maybe AGT would just finally reveal these kind of things. But so far, at least from what I can tell, there's never been any information from AGT in terms of like how they do their contracts. And for good reason. AGT is trying to protect the mystique of how their show is run. So it's not in their benefit to talk about how these performances are arranged. They're about trying to create drama on stage, not about the drama behind the scenes. All right, you all, that is what we know so far, separating the myths from the facts. For those of you who are still curious what's going on, at least wait until more information is revealed. But now at least I laid out some possibilities what the likely situation is about, rather than about all these conspiracy theories. You know, Lulu and I really love Angelina Jordan and what she represents, and I think she has an amazing career ahead of her, way beyond America's Got Talent. I think she got what she wanted out of this show. So despite all the drama, if you're truly a fan of Angelina Jordan, support her ongoing. And supporting someone ongoing isn't about bashing those who don't like her music, who don't agree with her choices. It's about supporting her. It's about making sure that she's surrounded by fans who are constantly putting out positive vibes. All right, y'all. Peace out.